there was a guy that kept showing up in alleys trying to buy cricket.
Yeah, I remember.
Who was up to no good.
Got up to a hefty price, though.
And so, I really wanted to buy cricket. So we had set a sting operation, an ambush, disguised cricket, and had Serendipity Van Goldstrider Malore parade her around to try and lure him back out again. And he did, and we caught him. There was a fight. It turned out he had pain slaves. We killed one of them, unfortunately, and then we captured him. And so then the session started with us trying to decide what to do with him, and also to a lesser extent to decide what we're going to do with our mind-controlled scion slave guy.
Not exactly a slave guy. He's mind-controlled for like another 2 hours, and to be our friend, and then he'll go back to whatever.
Yeah. So we're like, ooh, pain slaver, they're horrible. What do you think, enslaved scion? Magically ensorcelled and bent to our will. Anyway. Yeah, no, he actually got out okay on this deal.
I thought he died. Scion guy, didn't he get...
No,
he just...
No, the cats got killed.
Yeah. But they were trying to murder an old man in the streets, so I still don't feel too bad about that.
Yeah. Well.
Even if it turns out that is the butcher of Brackenridge.
Even if it wasn't like your equivalent of Hitler.
Yeah, they were really doing the wrong way, you know. So anyway,
so now they had this guy,
and so we had this huge discussion about what to do. I'm trying to remember what everyone's positions were on the matter.
Well, the first thing that strikes me is, like, very quickly people are like, okay, we take all of his stuff and parade him, like... Oh, no, there was a debate over
There was a big debate over how to humiliate him publicly.
Yeah, because one person, I don't remember who it was, wanted to, take all of his stuff, strip him just down to his loincloth, and parade him through the street with, like, a sign that says, like, I have pain slaves, and this is what happened to me.
Yeah.
And whatever. But I think probably Aurora didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that is what ended up happening.
No, well, we sort of, I mean, there was like all sorts of debate over just exactly how much excrement we should smear on him and stuff like that.
There was like...
Because we can't torture him. We have to be very careful how we abuse him.
I think you eventually blind him, and then when you find the slaves, just unblind them.
So you're turning back into a regular D&D party again.
Well, I don't know. I mean...
Well, we ultimately decided not to... I don't think we did humiliate him. I think that we just took him to...
I think so. Like, you did interrogate him, but...
Yeah, we asked him a bunch of questions and stuff.
I mean, you took his stuff that was good, but...
He started reciting poetry. Horrible poetry.
Yeah, when they tried to interrogate him, he just was unresponsive.
Yeah, he started making up poetry in Old Eve. And Cricket is, of course, a bard, and she speaks Old Eve. And so she started berating him for how terrible his poetry was.
And it was both terrible in style and in content.
Yeah.
Like, it was repulsively awful topics that he was just, whenever people would ask him, he'd start saying this repulsive Old Eve poetry he was making.
It was just to try and keep his mind occupied because we had a scion.
Well, he didn't, I don't know if he even knew that. He just was just being belligerent, actually.
Okay, well... And coincidentally, that was working in his favor.
He's hard to intimidate because they're like, if you don't talk, I'll kill you. But they already have discussed how they can't kill him because, he's basically, he's not really threatenable, so he can't really be intimidated.
That's where the smearing excrement part comes in, because that isn't pain-slavable away.
But still, that's the best you could do, is humiliate him.
Forever.
Well, but still... He wasn't very open to interrogation.
You tattoo a guy who has pain slaves.
I think the pain slaves feel the pain, but he gets the tattoo.
Oh, there we go. Tattoo, I have pain slaves all over his face.
Or the uptake, because the needle pokes would go to the other guy.
Yeah, we had quite a bit of discussion about like the nature of how pain slaving works, because of like what they could and couldn't do to him, and like. If they make him feel really sad, does his pain slave feel sad? I said no.
Krosta started talking to him, and so we're like, is he getting bored or is pain slaves getting bored?
He's getting bored.
Yeah.
You can mess with his mind.
Yeah.
But I did call it. If you're just feeling sad, then you feel sad. But if it was a clinical depression, like it was like some sort of like chemical thing, then your pain slave gets it. But if you're just sad because life sucks, then you're just sad.
You're sad.
Oh, life sucks for the poor widow pain slaver. Anyway, it will suck because we took him to the authorities. And these are the Spellblades. So they actually are competent when it comes to dealing with pain slavers. They do not like pain slavers at all.
That's being in basically the... I mean, that can be said of pretty much everyone except for pain slavers.
Yeah, but they professionally hate pain slavers. It's their business. So anyway, we took him in, and there was a bounty out for him because he had stolen the stuff he was trying to get us to transport. And that's what the bounty was for initially, was that, he's a thief. But we also said, yeah, he's a thief and a pain slaver. And they were like, yeah, that's pretty bad. I don't know if we're going to get... Did we get a bonus from being a pain slaver? Because I don't know if there wasn't a bounty out specifically for that. Or is there a generic bounty out for any time you get a pain slaver?
I don't know. I hadn't really thought about it because you guys actually specifically bring that up. Like, there was a bounty out for the package and the guy who stole the package, and so the guy just went off and verified that.
So I wouldn't be surprised if there's some kind of generic, bounty, like every time you capture a pain slaver.
Probably. It would make sense.
So in this world, like, I imagine the Eve, like, they had all the nobles had their children pain slave, so that they'd be safe. So what happens if you're just a child in that era and you grew up and now you have pain slaves?
You can free your pain slaves.
Oh, okay.
Send them to the Temple of Freedom, and then you don't have pain slaves anymore, and everything's fine.
Okay.
And that's what all the good guys are doing in the Empire now. So, well, I suppose it's possible that you could be hooked up with pain slaves, and then you don't know where those pain slaves actually are. And then you can't free them.
Yep.
That would be a bit of a problem.
Yeah.
But that just gives you all the more motivation to try and help bring the system down. Because then,
I think they would probably need to prove like willful intent or something.
Yeah.
Like they wouldn't just be like I don't know. I hadn't really thought about it too much. I did spend some time thinking about the Spellblade justice system, but it didn't come up. So.
Yeah, we just turned the guy over and we're like, yeah, these guys will probably do something with him that is appropriate because they've had a lot of experience with.
They don't. Well, they were talking about they were telling them not to kill or torture him, but they were saying they don't generally kill and torture in their justice system anyway.
Yeah,
it's not absolutely forbidden, but it's generally never happened.
Yeah, and sadly, the ones who really deserve it are the ones you can do it to least.
On the way there, they took advantage of their friend Ock, the Scion. He could read minds once an hour or so. So they were trying to interrogate this guy, and it was useless. But they had Ock read his mind during a key moment when they asked him, who are your
allies?
Who are your allies? And he thought of a number of people. We got a couple of names out of him. Yeah, he thought of this tower in the northern part of the East lands.
Oh.
Where his, let's see if I remember them now.
Secret.
Let's see. I think his master, I think his name was Heinrich, and the leader of the organization is Dieter, and.
Pretty German sounding.
I forget the name of the third. Emer was another fellow apprentice. This guy was just some apprentice. So.
No, he's gone with German theme for the Empire of Flowers.
Poor German people. I'm going to live that one down.
Well, it's a perfect analogy. They're reformed now, so with the Eve and whatnot. So yeah, they got that. And then when they got to that was really all they were going to get is one mind read. But then when they got to the sheriff's office, I said, yeah, okay, looks fine. Just wait here in the waiting room. It'll be about 45 minutes. Just messing with them, and they were like,
oh, 45 minutes, eh?
Yeah, we get another mind read then, right? It's like, fine.
That's what happens when the GM messes with us. Anyway,
So they asked him,
where his pain slaves are.
right, and the Hawk who was reading his mind was like, looked seriously disturbed and had like a little tear run down his cheek. And afterwards, he said that he had like this when he asked him that and he was reading his mind, he had this vision of like this like dark room with all these like people chained up, hanging from chains, and one was being fed into this weird apparatus and was screaming horribly.
But we don't know where that room is. So now we have to check every room.
I look at all the rooms.
Yes. We'll start with A.
Aurora has made it her personal quest to free those guys. There actually was some debate over like they're in like so much agony and torment. Maybe better just to kill them and him at the same time. But that didn't happen.
Yeah. We'll leave that up to the Spellblades. They are professional dealers with this sort of thing. Anyway. So then, the next big, long debate that we had as a party, we don't have encounters, we have debates.
Right.
What do we do with Ock? He's charmed for another hour or two or something like that. But then the charm's going to wear off, and he won't be our friend anymore.
We're going to deconstruct this.
But he won't remember what happened.
Right. So we're like, okay, what do we do with him? We can just send him away. And then we started discussing, because originally how this all started was, he wanted to try and blackmail 100 gold pieces out of us. He read our minds that we were like doing something secret. I can't even remember what it was.
It was the sting on the guy you just
Yeah, that's right.
And he was like, "Yeah, I'll go tell him about your plans."
Yeah, or give me 100 gold. And so we decided that we would give him 100 gold and send him on his way. And there was a lot of debate about that.
Because he sort of, like the party risked his life, and that was sort of the argument, he risked his life and he helped us out. And so, he earned his 100 gold. But then people were saying, well, but he's just a criminal. Blah, blah.
He helped us out because
I thought he was like on hard times or something.
Yeah, well, he
said times are tough.
I've taken to reading people's minds and extorting them for gold.
Yeah. My argument was if we give him 100 gold, he'll have 100 gold and he won't have to blackmail people anymore.
Yeah. Make sure you use his mind readability before he gets uncharmed, so he has to wait another hour.
In the end, they decided they wanted to like help him reform. So in the end, they gave him an envelope with 100 gold in it, with the writing like, something like, thank you for helping us do a good deed, honest work for honest pay, and that's how he gets his 100 gold. So he's gonna forget everything and find this envelope that says that. So that's their hope to reform.
And he'll be like, oh, I didn't remember it, but I must have stolen this from some do-gooder. Awesome.
Well, anyway. And then they just sent him off to the market to buy some apples.
Timing it so that we knew that the spell would elapse while he was out. So anyway, now is time to leave the town. I think that's what happened next.
Yeah, you had to spend one more night because to check out the bounty was just for this package and for a guy who stole it who they knew nothing about. So to confirm that, they had to go check that it was the actual thing that was stolen, and that took overnight. So they had to spend the night in the inn again.
So next day,
It was actually that night.
oh,
Yeah, it was that evening because you guys were sitting around the tavern. Yeah, I'm sure it was that evening.
what happened?
This very large creature comes into the.
I forgot about it.
And it's this big, tall, hairy guy. He's like 7 feet tall, but then his horns make him extra tall. He looks like a big yak man, who most people are like, what the? But some people knew of the Yunin in the north. And he comes into the bar and sits down, orders a water, and just sits there drinking it.
And so we're like, oh, an NPC that was mentioned specifically. Let's go talk with him.
I think Croesus was the one who first started.
Yeah, well, it was going to happen.
So Croesus comes up, and this guy says, breathe deep, seek peace.
And Croesus is like, oh, this is awesome. He's philosophical.
And he starts talking about seeking peace, and they get into a long discussion, like, because he's just very interested in what Croesus has to say.
And so Croesus says a lot of it.
Like, they stay up all night talking. He's just fascinated by everything Croesus has to say about peace and closing the world's wound. And they got, I didn't even know that the world was wounded. Because he spoke in very broken Elvish. He doesn't speak. Because he said that the Yunan are alone. But I thought we should learn of the world, so the elders they sent him on a pilgrimage to learn of the world, because they're isolationists, generally, but he was interested in the world outside, so they sent him on this pilgrimage to learn about the world.
And having reached Belneva, he figures he's done about 75% of the world now.
Yeah, they showed him a map, and his mind blew, and he said, "Oh, is the rest of the world like the part between the mountains and Valneva?"
Which is terrible. That's the old Ood/Dwarven battleground.
Yeah. Plus, there's like those trolls.
He said, I was just starting to think that the world was a terrible place and I should go back, but then I found this city, and it's not so bad.
And then Cricket started telling him about how wonderful the Empire of Flowers was.
What, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was.
Oh, sorry, I got confused. You said cricket, and I was like, Aurora.
She doesn't mind the Empire too much.
But anyway, he was very interested in what everyone had to say, but he was the most enraptured with Croesus, although Cricket spun everything in a very philosophical way, which made him also very interested in Cricket.
I know how to play to an audience. I just got to talk like Croesus.
So this guy was really interested, and the party was like, "So why don't you come along with us?" And
Serendipity Van Goldstrider Malora is like, "But you just invited a random hairy guy you met in a bar, can't even speak Nelvish properly.
You're gonna give him a vote.
You just invited him into the party."
And so he was sort of like, "I don't know. I'm hesitant to go with you because if you die, that will suck." And they had this discussion about, well, he had a companion, a frost dwarf that he met, who died somewhere in the Titan Wastes, and his only thing is, all right, he was asking how if different races die in different ways, and they do this whatever. And finally, his final stipulation was, all right, you don't scream when you die, do you?
So we promised that we would try not to scream when we died.
And so he came along. So now this unit is following the party along.
Yeah. I know. I'm shaking my head too, and I was part of it all. But no, he doesn't have a vote. He's not like an official member of the party.
I mean, he was heading south anyway, so.
It's just,
Did he get some cricket shares?
no, he didn't
Class
get
B
it.
controller?
He doesn't have any cricket shares in cricket. Oh yeah, that's another thing. After the sting operation, Cricket had been disguised. Serendipity Van Goldstrider Malor turned her blonde for the sting, so it wouldn't be the same domestic. And so afterwards, they're like, well, I guess we better take that disguise off. And then Aurora started discussing with Serendipity how she'd prefer Cricket to be customized.
Well, basically saying that Serendipity has a good fashion sense.
Yeah.
What would look best?
Yeah. So they were playing dress up with Cricket. And in the end, they put her back to her original coloration for the most part, but they left a purple streak in her hair. So Cricket has a purple streak in her hair now. Yeah.
What coloration was she originally?
Sort of reddish brown.
Things you guys are.
Well, we spent forever talking. Like, I've greatly condensed it. We spent a long time talking with that Yunan guy, and
Helped. He was a very slow speaker. So yeah, we finally leave town with our new friend, the big hairy yak man.
What's his name?
His name is Dawa Kipu.
Yep, Dawa Kipu.
Dawa Kipu. So we go on the road.
Do you mind if I describe this? Just because
that's right.
I spent a while thinking of how to describe it when I was in session too. So they're coming down the road. They've spent probably a couple days on the road. Nothing
well, this is just when we were leaving, wasn't it?
Oh, sorry. I'm talking about on the road.
Okay.
Yeah,
We'll just leave it first then. As we're trying to leave the town, John has noticed a pattern at this point. That anytime a random NPC with no relevance comes along, we love to talk with them forever. So on the way out of town, we met some scammer with the 3 shells game, the shell game thing. And so he was like, "Hey, you want to do this thing? Give me two gold and guess where the thing is and stuff." And Cricket tries telling Aurora it's a scam. And Aurora's like, "No, we gotta try it."
Actually, it wasn't Aurora. It was no one. It was Serendipity that wanted to do it.
Serendipity wanted to do it. That's weird.
Serendipity was like, "Yeah, I got it. I'm in." She's totally into this game. Aurora had nothing to do with it really. Actually,
it was interesting. Oh well.
No, it was Serendipity. All Serendipity.
So Serendipity got in on it, and I was like, "Yeah, I know this is a scam." She's gonna do it, but. So he does the thing, and she uses her awesome insight powers and whatever, and sees him palm the pebble down into his lap.
Yeah, she rolled just exactly enough, and it's because she rolled exactly the DC that she needed to see him palm the nuts or whatever it was. The nuts, and it was because Cricket has some lantern of revealing that gives her a +1 on perception checks. So
I helped. So Serendipity sees it go down into his lap. And so when he's like, "Okay, pick your thing," she uses her mage hand to reach into his lap and grab his nut and pull that up into view. And he was like, "Fine."
And so it's like a double or nothing thing, right? She paid 2 gold, so she gets 4 gold, and he's like, "Get out of here, you're bad for business." And they try to talk to him, but just get out of here.
So we start moving off, at which point an entire swarm of irrelevant NPCs
Well, that's what I said.
pour out of the city, all going, "Hey, would you like to talk to me about something inconsequential?" It's like, I'm starting up a greeting card business. Would you like to help me? All kinds of just totally random, useless stuff comes pouring out of the city. We're like, "Flee!"
You did that.
We're gonna get stuck
Not
here
exactly.
forever.
I just said that in jest. I was like, the whole city converges on you trying to. No.
So we're like, "No, we have to start walking now. We can't talk to every single NPC in the city." Yeah. So then we got
all unique snowflakes, Brian.
And then we got on the road for realsies.
So after a couple days in the road, they pass some, nothing major happened. They come across something down the road. They see these figures, and as they get closer, they see it's Warforged standing like motionless by the road. So there's these Warforged standing motionless by the road with their weapons drawn. The weapons are crusted in blood. On the floor, like the rotting corpses of like 6 people, like some elves, some cat shifters, some mongrels, just like laying there rotting, reeking it up because they've been dead for days. And in all of the Warforged are looking at the clear leader Warforged, and he's standing there, and in his offhand, clasped closely, is this little bedraggled cat, like almost starved to death, barely moving. This poor little kitten. Well, it's actually not a kitten; it's an adult cat, maybe medium, clasped in its hand. And the party comes across this.
And it's just standing there with this thing. There's all these dead people around, and all these Warforged guarding them.
Undead 3-man.
And so we're like, "Oh yeah, okay. So here's the deal. We go try and rescue the cat, and Warforged kill us. Just like these
it's
people,
obvious,
they'll try to rescue the cat, and Warforged kill them because the Warforged is holding the cat, and he's got to hold it like that."
Yeah, and it's such an obvious setup, but
yeah, it's like we know exactly what's going to happen. But it's a cat, and we're heroes. And so like, okay, so we're going to rescue the cat.
So
There's really no point in discussing whether we're going to rescue the cat.
I don't think they even discussed it. Roy just walked up and like basically starts prying his hands open.
Yeah.
At which moment they immediately all just start attacking.
Yeah, but we knew that was going to happen, so we all got ready for the fight because we knew it was going to happen. And so the very first thing
So the party won initiative, even though.
Yeah, and winning initiative turned out to be really important. So we won initiative, and the very first thing that happens is Cricket uses Shout of Triumph, which is the rearrange everyone in the 3x3 areas thing. And so I hit most of the Warforged and blow them away. I don't, unfortunately, hit the leader who's holding the cat. But fortunately, it also allows you to rearrange allies.
Yes.
And the cat is an ally.
He moved the cats over.
So I pull the cat out of the Warforged's grasp.
And the cat just and bursts off into the trees.
Aurora then uses, what was her healing thing? She uses a healing spell on the cat.
And because she like spent all this thing healing the cat, I was like, okay, if the cat is as healthy as it's ever been, it's like fur is like shiny and glistening. I'll give it 5 hit points. Normally it would have like 2, but it's got like 5 hit points. It's so like, just like in perfect health.
But
then
it doesn't help us in the combat at all. What an ungrateful, I was expecting it would help us out in the combat. Join our party. Anyway, so then the fight ensues. The Warforged sort of get split up into 2 groups by my blah. One group goes around and starts trying to attack Serendipity because she's sort of in back. And they circle around to attack Serendipity. And we discover that Serendipity Vengul Strider Malor. I've been saying it wrong this whole time.
It was awesome in this session,
Croesus called her, like...
Selenity
or something.
And Shannon corrected him.
Serenity!
It's like, if you're going to correct me, you better at least do it right.
And I added Vengul Strider Malor anytime she said just Serendipity or Serenity. Because she was doing it wrong. But anyway, so, turns out she's got the highest armor class of any of us.
She's got a lot of intelligence.
Yes, and also a lot of motivation not to die again.
Die again?
Yeah, it's the same player as Aderon.
Oh, right, yeah.
Serendipity is a replacement character for a killed character, and those are always the most paranoid.
She was a mage, though.
Yep, mages, 4th edition, end up with crazy armor class just because of the way the system works.
So so those guys are like fighting her and not getting very far because she does these things that are like stunning them and slowing them and stuff like that. And when they do try and land a blow, they miss. So instead, we focus fire on the leader, the one who'd held the cat. And we throw everything we've got at his arm that was holding the cat.
Which is mostly by coincidence, but yeah.
Yeah, we had a series of critical hits and stuff.
Yeah, we just kept rolling crits. And Croesus rolled 2 crits, and both times we have the crit location table, and both times we rolled off arm, which is the arm that was holding the cat.
Yeah. And so we also used flavor text to say we're targeting that arm.
I'd already described, there had already been some big hits, so I described the metal armor had burst off and you could see the wood underneath, and then he had been cracked, so he's spewing black weirdness. And then finally someone critted him in the arm. Yeah, it didn't actually cut it off because it didn't do enough damage, but yeah.
I also hit him with a daily in that arm. It wasn't a crit, but it was, flavor text, whatever.
I think that's the thing that was spewing the black goo.
So we eventually, we fairly quickly took the leader down.
Well, you took him down. You took him down to 0 hit points fairly quickly. But unfortunately, for the undead Warforged, that doesn't kill them.
Yeah.
They get into this they get into this horrible rules broken state where, as long as they keep making death saves, as long as they don't fail a single death save, they don't go unconscious. They're just dazed. However, Warforged can, anytime they roll less than 10 on a death save, they can just take 10. So basically, you'll never fail his death save. You have to take him to negative bloody. That's the only way to kill him.
Yeah.
And or if you apply some effect, if you apply an effect that gives you like a negative to saves, then you can kill them if they fail their death save because it actually changes the value of the dice.
Yeah.
It's quite explicit. So if you even give them a -1 to death saves or to saves, then they can die from that. But
how did you guys end up killing them?
Violence. Yeah.
So the way I described it is finally they hurt him, and clearly the wood had cracked and was like 2 damaged, but this like sort of black energy was like holding him, and he was sort of shambling because he's dazed when he's like that. So he's sort of shambling, not really himself, barely holding together. But then they just hammered on him and killed him more.
Yeah. They basically have 50% more health than everything else.
Yeah.
Except that their like last third of health is this weird like fugue state where they're like shambling.
Yeah, although these guys also had an ability where they could regain, they could like, you know, get themselves geared up for combat and get temporary hit points. So like they're super hard to kill because the temp hit points is like another quarter. So it's basically like they have 175% health.
And if you ever meet an NPC one, it's gross. It's gross how hard they are to kill if they have certain magic items or like certain feats.
But fortunately, the dice were very much in our favor. They kept making critical misses, and we kept doing critical hits. And so we just methodically were pounding them into the ground one after another.
And they weren't much of a threat damage-wise. They're just super hard to kill. Which I guess gets across the idea that if you ever find any Warforged that are threat damage-wise, you better be scared. Because these ones who weren't doing much damage or just took
We wound up ending still in combat, though it was very clearly in our favor, so we're probably going to wrap it up real quick next time. But anyway, after we killed the leader, there was still all the 4 follower Warforged. And we wound up with this funny situation where we had Warforged Croesus, Warforged Hank in a line. So there was lots of flanking going on and stuff like that. And so then like the round occurs and everyone's like doing all these weird shifting and moving, and I slide him and push him and stuff like that, slide it around. Everyone jockeys into a different position. Then the Warforged have their turn and they're doing all this weird sliding around and jockey position. And at the end of that, it was exactly the same, except translated 1 square. The whole array had moved 1 square. It's like the game of life. You know, there's a glider in the game of life that does all this weird shifting around to move 1 square.
Yeah.
That was funny when we realized it's exactly the same. Let's see, who else did particularly notable cool things?
Croesus critted twice.
Yeah, Croesus' crits were quite...
Serendipity did that freakish shadow area that slowed them because they felt like shadow hands were grabbing them.
Yeah, and we were like shoving them back into this area and slowed them down.
No. It seemed like the combat wasn't threatening enough for cinematic points.
Yeah.
The Warforged were fairly weak as Warforged goes, so...
Yeah. So again, it's because we won initiative and we had all these...
instructed to hold the kitten up and murder anyone coming along.
Well, it's a mystery. Why were they holding the kitten? Are they holding the kitten because they want to murder the people who try to save it? Are they holding the kitten because they want to kill the kitten? Are they holding the kitten for some other purpose? We don't know. They're just holding the kitten.
That's what the Warforged do.
And we'll probably never find out because we're so busy. We're just going to destroy them, so we're not going to find out.
So yeah, you can always lean on magic. Now you got Warforged.
All right. So my character is now going to have a cat.
Well, we don't know. Maybe the cat's going to join our party. and give us a quest. Yeah.
Maybe the cat was also trying to explore the world.
But I like that idea of robot with cat.
What?
Robot with cat.
That reminds me of something else that happened during the thing. When they killed the leader,
Oh, right.
one of the Warforged in Oblin said, fist pumped, and went, +1 leadership. And the others all said, accept! in Oblin. And only a couple people have spoken, the rest, and even then they're like, okay.
And then later on, who was it that, was it Croesus?
I think it was Hank, wasn't it? Who was just like, +1 killing Warforged.
And some of the other party members that knew what was said accept.
And the two of the Warforged just looked at each other like,
Yeah, at that point we were starting to feel pretty confident that we were going to pull through the combat without any serious
The Warforged, the new Fanthus.
yeah, well, the party definitely has a thing about Warforged now. They're like, oh, stupid Warforged.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, some of them are like, let's just avoid them because they're always bad news, or let's kill them.
Yeah. Well, Cricket is firmly in the just kill them camp. I mean, they're just things, and they're in our way. They're very, very, troublesome to the party.
It's like if there was a stone wall in front of you, it couldn't really, and it always moved to block you. You just smash it.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that reminds me of another thing. Robert was telling me there was one person who was opposed to saving the cat, and that was Hank. As a dog shifter, he has a thing about cats, and he didn't really get a chance because Aurora just went up, and everyone knew it would happen, but he was opposed to it. But Robert told me afterwards that Hank was considering for his first action just being like snipe the cat and kill it and solve the problem.
Yeah. I was also thinking that that might be a solution to it because the cat is suffering just.
But
Cat's fine now.
Shoot it with an arrow and then carry on.
Yeah, but I mean,
everything's fine. But no,
Hank is not like, let's kill all cats. It's more just like,
I'm not going to go out of your way to save a cat.
But at the same time, he didn't want to annoy the whole. It's not. He didn't care enough to annoy the whole party. He's just but he considered it.
Yeah.
Let it be known that he considered it.
And so, the session ended in the tail end of the combat. I think, are all four? No, we take it down another one. So 3 of the supporting Warforged are still around. I think we took down one.
You killed the leader and one of the supporters.
Yeah.
And it took a long time and a lot of effort to do that. There's still 3 supporters left. But they're not really hurting you very much.
Yeah, I think only 2 of us have been hit at all. And Cricket still hasn't used her Guardian's Intercession, so...
Well, they all have... the Warforged also all have marks. And so they're defendery types. They're not really damage dealers. And that's just all pure defender types, which is not a good tactical situation.
Yeah.
But that's just what these guys are, so...
Yeah, it would have been a lot worse if we were still fighting the leader and they were all marking us. They'd keep us from killing the leader. But we took that leader down so fast, so hard.
And also they got scattered.
Yeah. Yay, Bard. Confusion to the enemy. All right. That's pretty much it. Well, one of the things that I specialize in and am particularly good at is telling epic tales and singing epic songs of deeds of heroism by heroes past. And I think I'm finally starting to get some new material here on our little quest through the world. We have done a heroic and noble thing that I will be able to craft an epic tale about. We've saved a cat. It's a start. Considering that our previous tale involved a lot of running from enormous monsters and being blown up by ridiculously named mongrel folk flying ridiculous contraptions and such forth, I think I'll probably leave those parts out. But the saving the cat thing, that we can be proud of. And maybe saving an old man from being murdered in the street if he turns out he's not the butcher of Brackenridge. In other positive news, after we did that little sting operation to lure that pain slaver out so we could capture him, Serendipity Van Goldstrider Malor has removed the disguise that she put on me, but Aurora requested that I be customized. So I now have a streak of purple in my hair. Aurora is finally starting to understand. Isn't it wonderful? Isn't it a nice little purple streak in my hair there? Yes.
Yakman, or Yunan, well, both are true. What? Please, come with us, Mr. Yakman. Come with us. Oh no, Serendipity, we don't want you to come. Even though you are a mighty wizard and have shown your prowess in battle, we're gonna say, oh yes, Mr. Unknown Yunan, come with us. You're at lower level than us, even.
Dear Adron, I missed you particularly today because we met this fellow and he was asking us how different cultures and races deal with death. And he had lost a friend who was very dear to him. It was his first friend. And you were my first friend that I can remember clearly. And you're gone. I hope that it would be okay with you and with your family that we're not going directly back to where you came from. Because it just seems like there's so many other people who need our help. I hope that's okay. Like today, we ran into this sweet orange-colored cat that needed our help, and we managed to help her, and I know it's what you would have wanted me to do. I miss you so much. You would have had a great name for the cat, but all I can think of is Pussums McTappy. You would have said that was a stupid name. I miss you so much.
Why do I keep dreaming all of these silly names? We met this fun yak guy. His name's Doll Weathers or something like that. And we had a great time talking about how the Nameless do dance fighting, and there are stars in the sky, except some of them aren't in the sky, and some of them are brothers of... Aurora's kind of weird sometimes. And there's a kitten too. We're saving a kitten from some Warforged, and it's a lot of fun, except nothing's as close as it seems to be. Sometimes things get really confusing in these dreams. I wish that things would be the way they were before, when everything made sense.
This is such a waste of time. We're rescuing a cat? A cat? Why? What's the point? It's a stupid cat. Okay, I guess I'll go along with it, 'cause I don't know. Well, something to do, I guess. I do like fighting. I do like smashing Warforged. So I guess it's not completely in vain. But a cat? Oh, I don't understand these people.